What's happening, YouTube? Anthony on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film with a brand new Lost Galaxy 2014 review. And today we're taking a look at Hasbro's Marvel Legends, Marvel Studios. You should have put, specific Marvel movie that y'all took this from. Technically, Iron Man from Avengers Endgame, Iron Man Mark LXXXV. Again, I'm not good with reading Roman numerals, but you should know what Roman numeral number that I just said. LXXXV. So we have that figure. So this is now yet another Iron Man I have in my collection. This is basically that one Iron Man that I really wanted, since I do have, like, when you think about it, since I got Ronin and Captain America, technically I finally have some merchandise for Avengers Endgame, even though some of these figures came out last year and 2023, but here I am in 2025 reviewing figures that have come out in the last 2 years, since I took a long hiatus from reviewing action figures and whatnot. So this Iron Man from Avengers Endgame is what I'm going to take a look at today. And since now I have, like, Ultimate Iron Man, Midnight Suns Iron Man, Atmosphere Armor Iron Man, so this is now my fourth Marvel Legends Iron Man in a row now on my channel on PRLostGalaxy2014, because, like, again, I love Iron Man, and there's so many Iron Man figures that I do find fascinating. And since Iron Man is one of my favorite my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe. Now, this Iron Man does not come with a Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark head you can swap out for Iron Man. Well, when I get that one Avengers Endgame Infinity Saga Marvel Legends 2-pack with Iron Man versus Thanos, it does come with a Tony Stark head, but that was when Tony Stark was on his last breath, defeating Thanos, taking his Infinity Gauntlet and defeating Thanos' army, and then, Iron Man made the ultimate sacrifice for the entire MCU, as seen, spoilers for those who have not seen Endgame, but that's what happened to Iron Man. But for those who have seen the movie, you already know what happened. But for those who didn't, I hate to give out that spoiler for those out there. Anyway, so here's the front of the package of what this box looks like. And I know I didn't get this figure initially when Marvel Legends had a Avengers Endgame line of figures. This feels like a re-release, repurpose, but for those who missed out on it for the first time, I'm one of those first timers who didn't get this now. I'm one of those people who didn't get this, but now for the very first time I own a figure of this. So here's the front of the package, featuring control art of Iron Man from Endgame, and then also the more control art of Iron Man from here, talking about to release Thanos' grip on the universe. Tony Stark fights alongside his fellow Avengers and in his high-powered Mark X LXXX armor. So yeah, but I also kind of feel like, well, you're not going to expect a Stark gauntlet on, as an accessory, because they added the Stark gauntlet. You would have to pay a bit more. So wait until when I get that very expensive 2-pack of Iron Man versus Thanos from the climax of Avengers Endgame and see how that, stacks up with this one. So anyway, let's take a look at Mark LXXXV Iron Man from Avengers Endgame. And I am Iron Man. Snap. All right, everybody. Now it's time we take a look at what was Tony Stark's final Iron Man armor in the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because who would have thought that over the course of 22 movies of the MCU, that we would see what would witness be the final Iron Man armor Tony Stark ever made, and for this final suit of his be a callback to Iron Man's more classic comic book design, where you had gold on the arms and legs and red on certain parts of the suit, because that's what made that design of Iron Man so iconic in the comic books. Although I'm not really that crazy about that kind of design of Iron Man where you had, like, gold on the arms and legs all over. I mean, when I think about Iron Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I usually think about Iron Man where he has, like, certain shades of red on certain, and sometimes even in Iron Man 3's case, he had an armored suit. It was all gold and very little burgundy red to the suit. So okay, well, that's fine. Even he had a red and silver iron suit that he had back in Iron Man 2. So anyway, long story short, let's go over some accessories. He comes with these lightning effect pieces where he shoots out those beams out of his hands, and I figured that's what my Ultimate Iron Man figure was missing. Let me pull that figure out. When Hasbro put out the Ultimate Iron Man figure, I don't think this will fit, but it should. Even Ultimate Iron Man was missing this lightning effect piece. Come on, Hasbro, why didn't you give this Iron Man some effect pieces? Damn. Any lightning effect piece like this can work with any Iron Man, even if there's some Iron Man figures that Hasbro did in the Marvel Legends line that are missing them. And then here's some swappable hands, balled fist for the right hand, and an open hand for the left arm. Okay, so you got those effect pieces. And now let's take a look at this suit that is his Endgame armor for when battling Thanos one last time. All this is just a repurposed. When you look at the suit, they technically took what was the nanotech suit he had back in Infinity War, but had to go by the classic comic book colors, and the color scheme for Iron Man, but with the adding of silver to parts of the suit. So that's awesome. And I really I do like the fact that this suit, and this figure came out very, very well. But wait until whenever I do get my hands on Infinity War's nanotech Iron Man in the Marvel Legends line, if I ever do. But even though that figure's been out for like 7 years ever since that movie came out, but wait until I get that figure, and then other Iron Man figures I missed out on, even like Iron Man's suit from Captain America Civil War, the works. And whenever I get those Iron Man figures too, to add to in my ever-growing Marvel Legends collection. So yeah, this suit is really darn cool and really darn good. Although I still have a strong soft spot, warm spot for that fully red nanotech suit he had back in Infinity War. But this was alright. This was great too, because this is going back to his more classic comic book colors and color scheme design. So that's all dandy and all. So there you go. Now we go over some of his articulation points and see how he plays. So his head turns all the way around, but it's a little slow, but moving that around. Unfortunately, you can't tilt the head on this Iron Man. No butterfly joints. You can lift the arms up a little bit, and you can have him like do this, like he wants to turn the head around, and like you want to beam an enemy and do that too. Then let's see about abdomen crunch. Now abdomen crunch is just up to here, so you just bend the upper part of the chest, do some bit of an abdomen crunch on that too. So that's as far as you can go with that movement and that ability for the figure. Elbow crunch, well, elbow crunch is just like this. So all right, and you can turn the hand around, and let me change that balled fist so that way Iron Man can have his open hand. I'm trying to get this out. Trying to get it out. Screw it out so I can put in the other hand so it can match. So when he's like shooting beams from both his hands. Okay. Then now we have both hands of Iron Man, with the hands open out so he can shoot some lasers. So you got that pose. And then let's do another elbow crunch. So you got elbow crunch on this arm. So that's really fantastic. And then here's a flight pose for, I'm trying to do this and get the flight pose set and ready. And you can also, I didn't think about this because, since you got like hole ports, I thought, if Iron Man wants to levitate and fly, put some pole, that's why they got 4 of these, like two on the bottom of the feet, 2 of these for when he's like flying up in the air, and then like this. 1 more should do it. And then you have Iron Man flying just like this. And because, if there was a way I could tilt his, so now you have Iron Man flying just like this. And that would explain why we have those lightning effect pieces like this. So, and also take these away. Take these out of the feet. So when he's like flying, you have those effect pieces, available for like, toy photography. And that's pretty darn, fantastic too. This is definitely an Iron Man worth collecting anyway. So, just looking at this. So yeah, you got his flying formations when he's like flying up in the air and he's gone. And of course, put some on the bottom of the feet when he's like really flying, when he's flying up in the air. So there you go. And then now back to articulation. Now for his feet, his knee crunches are just like this because that armored knee. And then bend that knee on this foot, on this leg, and then you got the knee crunch on both legs. So there you have that. Ankle pivots is going to be pretty tricky, but just skip the ankle pivots because I don't think you can pivot the feet on this Iron Man, unfortunately. So that's as far as you can go. And then let's just have him stand right there. He's standing pretty darn good too. Now let's see how he stacks up with Hawkeye Ronin from Endgame. But even though again I wasn't really fond of how this figure turned out. No, I'm talking about Ronin, not Iron Man, but Ronin. I was really looking forward to the figure at first, and then yeah, even after I had reviewed the figure, I'm still let down by like what they did. But it's great to have an Avenger that, you know, in the final fight against Thanos, and wait until I get Thor and War Machine and Rocket and, you know, several of the characters to make up for Avengers Endgames, collecting, and even like Rescue and Captain Marvel. Yeah, so, and Doctor Strange, is several of them. So now that I have that, and, you know, like with Ronin, now let's pick out Ultimate Iron Man again, because, you know, I've been showing him a lot. So basically, Endgame's Iron Man and Ultimate Iron Man still stand at the same height. But though Ultimate Iron Man is way more bulkier in, you know, weight and proportions. So there you go. And that's about it. So that's it for my review on Iron Man Mark LXXXV from Avengers Endgame, even though with the Marvel Studios logo on it, when they should have been more specific. And, you know, Hasbro, y'all should have been more specific. I mean, we know what Avengers y'all based these figures from, and, you know, re-released them. And if you could have also put the Infinity Saga logo on there, you could have did that too, but whatever. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time with a brand new review, whether it be Power Rangers, Marvel, DC, WWE, anything. So with that being said, thanks for watching.